To understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
You have failed this city.
So I have this thing with rolls?
Just the end of the world.
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
You're the boy from the circus.
I started up a security firm.
Finally, a superhero team I can actually get behind.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, December 14th, 2019. I'm Little Eddie O'Hare.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And we have 5 new episodes this week. All right, let's see. One of them is a penultimate episode. One of them is a winter finale. And 3 of them are Crisis crossover. We've been waiting for this for a long time. Ed, was it worth it? Was it worth the wait?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh my God. So many things going through my head. Oh, everything. Sarah. We got Crisis.
Yeah, we sure did.
We got Crisis. We got Watchmen. And yeah, Black Lightning was on. But
poor Black Lightning.
No. Oh, so much to talk about, so much to go over. But yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us and listening every week. I did see with the crossover happening, we did get a healthy bunch of tweets that I will do my best to remember to get to as we go through this. And yeah, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for downloading and listening, telling all your friends, subscribing, rating, reviewing. That helps us out. That whole deal. The thing I always mention, we are part of Wicked Theory Studios. They have a Patreon, patreon.com/Wicked Theory. And for as little as $1 a month, you can just, help us keep the lights on. And there's a super secret podcast there for you called Ed Bonds with Bill, where I sit down with our executive producer, Bill Sweeney, and show him James Bond movies every episode. The last one we did was Moonraker. And I could announce this because we've already recorded the episode. The one that's going to drop this week is The World Is Not Enough.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah. So Pierce Brosnan action going on Ed Bonds with Bill. So yeah, that's what's going on. And in the DC universe, DC TV, man. Wow. So yeah, Sarah, we're changing things up a little bit. You know how we usually do things in the order in which they aired?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to mix that up because the Crisis we usually like to cover like crossovers and like 2-parters all at once. And because you had the other episodes airing in between. So we're going to do Watchmen first, then Black Lightning, and then do all 3 episodes of the crossover at once at the end. Does that make sense to you, Sarah?
It does. When you said we were mixing things up, I thought for a second that I was going to play the part of Ed and you were going to play the part of Sarah this week, but apparently not. And now I'm thinking about what that would look and sound like.
You're going, I didn't see that note in the playbill.
Wait, understudies? What? I didn't pay for a matinee. This is evening performance. What?
Yeah. Well, so yeah. Sarah, is there anything else going on? It's December. I should be worried about the holidays, and I don't think I've gotten anybody anything. And am I a bad person?
I'm in the middle of finals week. I go up until the 21st. What holidays? I am drowning in a sea of papers with shaky comma usage. So I'm the wrong person to be asking about that, my friend. Sorry, family. For the holidays this year, you get me surviving. That's yeah.
Do you prefer the under comma usage or the over comma usage?
Ooh, good question. Under. Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, it is the one thing where, like, like there should be some commas there, and it's hard to figure out, like, where do they go.
It can be hard if you don't listen to your professor who tells you. For me, it's the kids who don't just run it through spell check. Just run it through spell check. Just hit that little button. Run it through spell check before you.
Or just read it after you're done.
I mean,
let's
not expect the world. I'm so broken. This week has broken me. At least we had Crisis.
Do you know how many times I've just garbled out these recaps that I write, and then when I go to copy and paste them into our Google sheet, realizing like, oh, that makes no sense. That's a fragment.
I mean, I kind of do the same with the news. I'll be like, oh, I misspelled that and that and that and that. So really, it's a physician heal thyself thing, but still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you don't have to read that word for word. So
true.
So yeah. So Ed and Sara, grammar cops.
Yeah.
I know some people on here don't like us talking about math, but I figure grammar is probably like, that's like the envelope there. That's how we get edgy, Sarah. We talk grammar.
I mean, I can talk math. I'm quite excited about statistics. No, you know what? The people are here for Crisis. So
yeah. Well, they're here for DC TV, and we've got 5 episodes to get through. Sarah, you ready to start? You ready to jump in? Ready to dive in, swinging?
Yep.
That's all right. Here goes. First up is Watchmen. Season 1, penultimate episode. A god walks into a bar. 10 years ago, Dr. Manhattan walked into a bar and asked Angela Abar out to dinner. Adrian Veidt offered Dr. Manhattan a device that could subdue his memory in exchange for a trip to the Utopia on Europa. In the present, Angela woke up Dr. Manhattan and warned him that the 7th Cavalry was coming. Last minute reveal, Adrian found a horseshoe in his anniversary cake.
I love this episode so much. I am a little frustrated that it happened the same week as the CW Crisis crossover, because in any other week, this is the only thing I would want to talk about, because the time-twisty, mind-bendy love story is basically created, written, and then put on the screen for me, Sarah Netzley. And I loved it so much. So I definitely want to talk about this for an hour, and we definitely can't. But I adored the way the story unfolded, the playfulness, the head scratchy elements, all of it, the way it answered questions, the way it raised more questions. I loved it. Ed, what did you think?
I thought it was great. I loved how this whole season has slowly unfolded. And they tried to say, oh, this is in the same world, but it's not a sequel with those characters. And this straight up was like, hey, these are those characters 30 years later. Yeah.
And I thought that felt the most comic referential to me, this episode, of any of them. Dr. Manhattan spoke like Dr. Manhattan that I remember from the comics. You've read it more recently than I have. Was I right about that?
Oh, yes. And what's the whole idea, when he's speaking, I'm there right now, relatively. It's just the whole idea of time. And once you get the grasp of that and you realize, the whole, I just really like the concept that he knows everything is going to happen, but he still experiences it all in the moment. And that's why he can't prevent anything from happening. And
he was so frustratingly accepting of it. I was Angela in that scenario, just like, what do you mean we have to do something? And it was delightfully, frustratingly Manhattan-y of him.
Don't tell me what I'm gonna fucking say.
I know. Just he had this delivery of this kind of remote as he realized, oh, this is the chicken or the egg thing. Like it was, the performances were marvelous. Also, I'm going to say something that is calibrated, I think mostly for you, Ed. I felt like that initial at the bar scene where they're just sort of verbally sparring, that was the sexiest spoken repartee since Riker showed Wesley how to woo women by picking up Guinan. That was my benchmark for adult sophisticated romance for many years. And this was a very worthy successor to this, like, back and forth. Yeah.
Yes. It's right up there. If you want another great example of that, and this is really like, film school 101, go check out Double Indemnity and the scene where Fred McMurray meets Barbara Stanwyck. And it's that same kind of vibe to it.
Fred McMurray as a sexual object really blows my mind.
Watch that movie and then watch the Apartment and realize how horrible, wretched he is.
Everybody in that was wretched. Anyway, small things that I enjoyed. I love that cover of Rhapsody in Blue that opens it, and the fact that they had Dick graffiti on the Dr. Manhattan billboard thing. That was very funny. Yes.
Adrian Veidt had a great line. Well, you're the only person I know who would have the balls to come in here in his birthday suit.
I really enjoyed this, Adrian. It was fun to see it was just fun to see the progression of that character, and of course doing it in this sort of, we've been watching his progression through the years in every episode, and now we jump way back and we see him a little more lucid with it, frustrated. It felt very much like, yep, this is what Adrian would be doing this many years after the events of the comic. That feels right. I love that he's still doing the squid rain. I mean, of course he is, but
yeah, and he really, I was really happy with this, the way that it clarified it, because I was sort of half right about Adrian, is that Dr. Manhattan did not imprison him there. He did create that place, but Adrian did go there willingly. And it, it's sort of that thing where, grass is always greener, but it's really kind of thing where he thought that he was going to heaven. Like that he pretty much straight out says that he thinks he's going to heaven. And then within a year, as we find out within a year, that anniversary, he's bored to tears and is doing everything he can to get out of it.
Well, if anybody seems built to live in a place where the residents worship you as a god / master, it is Adrian Veidt. So it is both inevitable and frustratingly predictable that, yep, he thinks he wants that. He doesn't want that.
Yeah. Now here's the question. What does he do with the horseshoe?
I am excited to find out. I was talking with Tanya Melendez about this episode, and she made the comment that this is David Lindelof saying, answers? You want answers? Here are answers. So many answers. I expected him to be like, and the smoke monster from Lost, the island, it came from here. And let me tell you about Prometheus. Here's how that went. Like, he had so many answers. Did it make anything too explicitly obvious for you, Ed? I mean, here's the manor house and here's the clones. And did you need all that for this to work?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I needed it, but I think it was perfect. I think that's, I think it's exactly what we wanted. I just, you could see the reverse engineering, and that they started at this spot and then did everything prior to that to get to here.
Well, and it's what I talked about last week in the news section, that Damon Lindelof asked, what does this need to have to be a Watchmen adaptation? And the answer was Dr. Manhattan. And I realized that for me, it's not just Dr. Manhattan. It is Dr. Manhattan vaporizing fools with a wave of his hand. That's what I needed for it to be a Watchmen thing, when he stepped out at the end and just started, zapping people.
Yes.
Also, I cried for the last 10 minutes of that. I don't know what happened, but from the whole, when she starts, grabbing guns, and it's so hopeless, and he knows what's going to happen and he's not going to stop her, but that's when he falls in love with her. I don't know. The whole thing was just, it was a super event for me. This was a lot.
Yeah.
In the best possible way.
Yeah. One thing I think there was a little too much of is the eggs. I get it. All right.
I thought you were going to say the penis.
Well, that's another issue.
Never enough. Okay, yeah, the eggs are definitely a motif of this whole show. Yes.
But at a certain point, when he goes to, I'm hungry, I'm going to make waffles. It's like, all right, come on. Jesus Christ. Come on. Can we take a minute here? Making waffles is not really the practical thing to do at this moment. And it was just another excuse for you to ask her to get the eggs and for her to crush them.
So, two things that I'm excited to see play out. Number one, Adrian did say a little elephant told me, right?
Yes, he did.
What's up with that? What's up with that? And number two, did we totally get the embedded, Dr. Manhattan says, I can pass along my powers. I just would never do that without someone's permission. I think, this is uninformed speculation, but did we just see what's going to happen in the finale?
Well, they know he has his powers. Maybe they found a way to do it without his permission. And the one thing that was not explained in this episode is Lady True.
Mm-hmm. What's that clock going to do, or what's that tower going to do?
Yes. I think we did find out, that Angela is the one who actually put Will Reeves onto this case.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Reeves is the one who brought Lady True into the situation. So my guess is that the next episode will start with the half of the conversation between Dr. Manhattan and Will that we didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
It will probably start from that moment. And then we'll probably see how he hooked up with Lady True and why, and we'll understand why the Millennium Clock was built.
Well, and I'll be really curious will they actually destroy Dr. Manhattan, and will he choose to give his powers to somebody who's choosing to take them? And does this show actually mark the end of Dr. Manhattan? That to me set up that conflict. And would it go to Angela? Would it go to Lori? Would it go to, Senator Keene? I am super excited that this is only a couple of days away. By the time you're listening to it, it's, a day away. And this show, I did not know what to expect, and it has exceeded everything I could have hoped for it. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful.
All right. Yeah. I think we got that out of our system.
Okay. We gushed.
Was there any news? Anything more that we didn't touch on?
No, nothing really. Just that the finale airs Sunday, and there's been no announcement of upcoming seasons. Apparently, it's going to be a close-ended story that this is going to tie off things this season. So check in next week. We'll tell you all about it.
All right. So next up on the itinerary is Black Lightning, mid-season 3 finale, The Book of Resistance, Chapter 4, Earth Crisis. Jefferson and Anissa disagreed about whether they might have to kill in order to defeat the ASA. Red skies fell over Freeland, and Jennifer found herself phasing between parallel universes. On Earth 1, Jen found a way to take away meta powers and watched Agent Odell gun down her father. On Earth 2, Jin helped the ASA gain control of Freeland and found herself at odds with her family. Last minute reveal, Jefferson vanished right before the white wave consumed the Earth.
So that happened. Goodbye, Pierce family. Well.
Yeah. So it's over.
Yep. So much for the show.
We're going to talk about this later, but no, the continuation now is going to be, that's it. That's really much it. If Jefferson had survived the crisis, you might have had a thing like him trying to rebuild his life on Earth 1, without his family. Like, that could have been a thing, but now, it's all right. You ready to drop the act? Is that
Yeah. Let's do it.
So yeah, it was interesting because like this happened in the middle of the crossover between parts 2 and 3. And they were still trying to drive home everything that had happened throughout the season with the ASA and the Resistance. And at the same time, they introduced this crisis element, the parallel universe element. And I'm not quite sure how it worked. Sarah, do you think that worked?
I thought the story of the Gens, the ghost of Jen past and the ghost of Jen that could be, basically, were interesting. It was a little strange as the pre-crisis episode, maybe. It's just, I feel like the stakes are, obviously they're going to have to do some kind of reset. So to have all this happen in the episode before, I have no coalesced thoughts about this. They're all just sort of swirly. It was interesting. I feel like when everybody is obliterated as the wave moves through, and then we know there's going to be crisis things, it's just sort of, okay, well, there's going to be a reset of some sort. So what's it going to reset to, and how, and where, and does it undo everything that we've been doing this season? I guess I got frustrated. I was frustrated.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Okay.
try to tackle these things one at a time. Let's talk about the Jefferson and Anissa stuff. And I mean, this is something that goes back to last season when Jefferson threw down those rules that there's no killing, and that was like the whole reason he and Henderson came head to head, because he was doing risky stuff that could have gotten people killed. Do you think Jefferson is being naive, or do you think that conflict was even keeled, that there was, both sides were right and both sides were a little wrong?
Last week I would have said Jefferson's being a little naive, but then we met Batman in the crisis, and so maybe Jefferson's onto something. What about you?
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting dynamic. It's a really good dilemma. I'm starting to like Jefferson in this. But the other thing is, like, Anissa makes it really hard because she is really stubborn. And it kind of flows with their father-daughter dynamic. I feel like there was a lot of back and forth, and I could have used a little bit more of direct conflict with the ASA. And seen, you had everyone gathering up for this fight, because they figured out they were going to attack the pit. And we didn't get to see that. All of the Red Sky stuff happened after that, while that was supposed to be going on. So I'm a little surprised that they built that up in this episode and we didn't at least get some kind of a payoff.
Well, and there was talk of Khalil as well, and then no Khalil. So there was just sort of conversations about things that seemed like they might be interesting. That said, watching the Pierce family dynamic in the different realities, I really enjoyed. I liked seeing all these different snapshots of what they could be. That was great. And I guess that's why they had to do it, right? If they wanted to do those alt realities, you've got to do it before Wave.
Yeah. Did you like Lynn cooking up green light like she's Debbie Mazar cooking up Coke in Goodfellas?
I loved the sickly green lighting. I mean, the whole thing was shot to make it look so sleazy and dangerous and sickly, and just really good. I swear they did stuff with her makeup to make her look more hollow cheeked. It was great.
Yeah. I'm just, I think it's just because everything's happening so fast. But once the other people in the family realize that she's addicted, like that's going to blow this story wide open.
Yeah. Yes.
And Jennifer. So her storyline with the multiple Earths, this felt a lot like A Christmas Carol to me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a little bit of, two sides of the coin. One, if she sided, she just sided with the family, or if she tried to eliminate the situation by taking everyone's powers away, and the other one if she just went straight with the ASA and she kind of learned that both were mistakes, and it was interesting to see kind of how that worked out. And kind of the different sides where she was different. The one thing that seemed a little off to me was the Earth 1 Jefferson being so timid.
That was the one with the Christmas sweater, right?
Yes, that was that
amazing Christmas sweater.
Although you found out he was working with Reverend Holt, and R.I.P. Earth 1 Reverend Holt. And you got this. I mean, that you really got to see Agent Odell mustache twirl and be a real villain, and be as scary as and actually be as villainous as he pretends to be in the show. And I feel a lot of times he acts really scary, and we don't get to see him stretch that muscle. Yeah. And Earth 2, Jen was terrible. It was like, a really bad person.
I actually felt really bad because in my notes I was just like, oh, evil Jen is so much fun. And then she killed her family and I was like, oh God, never mind. Nope, not fun. Is it not fun anymore?
So yeah. So if Jennifer makes it through the crisis, she'll have some stuff to think about.
Yes.
Yeah. And I can't wait next, when we get back together next year to see all three Pierces working together.
That would be really nice. Yes.
Yeah. Get everyone on the same page, everyone with their powers, and really, really take on the ASA. I can't wait to see that. All right. Anything more we didn't touch on?
No. It was a strange little single show jog in an otherwise unified CW week. So, yeah.
All right. Sarah, are you ready?
I don't know. Are you ready?
All right. Guess we're just gonna have to jump right in. Here goes. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1. The Monitor gathered heroes from all over the multiverse on Earth 38 to make a stand against the antimatter wave. Alex wrangled Lena and all the alien spaceships to organize a planet-wide evacuation. Lois and Clark sent their son away from Argo in a pod that got diverted to Star City on Earth 16 in the year 2046. Last-minute reveal, after Oliver's death, surprised even the Monitor. Pariah predicted doom. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 2. On the Monitor's orders, Lois, Clark, and Iris raced Lex Luthor across the multiverse looking for a hopeless Kryptonian prophesied to be the Paragon of Truth. Kate asked Kara, the Paragon of Hope, to tag along to Earth 99 to recruit a bitter old Bruce Wayne, the supposed Paragon of Courage. Against her better judgment, Sarah, the Paragon of Destiny, enlisted Constantine to help Barry and Mia find a Lazarus pit to revive Oliver. Last-minute reveal, the Anti-Monitor appeared to Lila and called her into service. Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3. After John was identified as the Paragon of Honor and Barry as the Paragon of Love, Iris, Ray, and Ralph went to Ivy Town to try to convince Dr. Ryan Choi to join the cause as the Paragon of Humanity. Constantine brought Diggle and Mia to Purgatory to try and recover Oliver's soul. Cisco located the source of the antimatter wave, where he, Caitlin, and Barry found the Earth 90 Flash trapped. Kate had to convince Kara that using the Book of Destiny was a bad idea. Last-minute reveal, the Paragons found themselves at Vanishing Point, and the older Superman was replaced by Lex Luthor, who had rewritten the Book of Destiny.
Yeah, okay, where do you want to start? What does your inner 8-year-old think?
Oh my god. Sarah, we got Robert Wool. And then we got Burt Ward. And then, and we went all over the place. And then, the Birds of Prey showed up. Helena Wayne showed up. And then, we saw Pariah, and then we saw Harbinger, and then we got to see Lucifer. Lucifer actually showed up in this, and then we got to meet Kevin Conroy as the Kingdom Come Batman, and then Brandon Ralph Batman showed up, and I remember that's actually the Christopher Reeve Batman, and oh my god. Oh, and then all that happened, and Sarah, Oliver's gonna be the Spectre. He's gonna be the Spectre, and then Lila killed the Anti-Monitor, and Lex Luthor, that despicable murder.
And this has been the DC TV Report. Join us next week. So you were satisfied. You were satisfied, is what you're saying.
Yes. It's everything I ever prayed for. Yes. And on top of that, we got to learn that Mick Rory from Earth 74 is great with babies. Wow.
Of course he is. I also love when Kate being like, "Oh no, don't give that to me." Kate was great in these episodes. I thought her characterization was strong. She's the newest kid on the block, but she has a personality and a vibe with everybody else. She and Kara's scenes together were wonderful. Her scene with Kevin Conroy, who is also wonderful, was wonderful. She was quite fun in these 3 episodes.
Yeah, I would actually go as far to say that I thought she was better in these episodes than she's been on the whole first half of her first show. On her own show, the first half of the season, I feel like we've had more character development from her in these 2 episodes, these 3 episodes. Yeah, I thought.
I wonder if does she have a better contrast with the other heroes, and so that gives her a chance to sort of sharpen her edges compared to the others. I don't know but I don't think you're wrong there. I thought pairing her with Ray was brilliant. When he does that in the field upgrade of her bat tech was a lot of fun. They just chose to use her well with the heroes they threw her with.
Yeah. I think everything was elevated, especially because like all of these actors know their characters so well, that nothing got cheated. The only thing that seemed a little bit out of sorts was in the Supergirl episode. Brainy keeps saying "Sprock," which is probably something that he says in the comics all the time, but the fact that he's never really said it on Supergirl and he said it like 3 times in that episode. It's like, what is this? Someone from the other shows is writing Brainy this week.
Yeah.
But that was fine. I hope he says it more often now.
Let's see. I guess in the first hour, hey, we got to see the Titans. That was an unannounced cameo. That was exciting. Our friends from DC Universe. Burt Ward, of course, was just great fun. The soundtrack for all of these appearances were perfect.
Yeah. And he was walking his dog, and I think I've mentioned before, he is a huge dog lover. I think he even owns a dog food company. So that I think that was cute. That was a great thing. And that, with a lot of these things, a lot of people thought that they were cheated. I think that's all you needed. If it was any more than that, it would have felt awkward. But like,
you're not gonna have Burt Ward on the tower with the rest of the heroes like fighting Dementors. That's just not gonna happen. So
yeah.
It was great. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I actually really liked Kelly using Guardian Shield. I thought that was a nice nod to James. It was the only really time we saw Kelly, and that was fine too. So that was nice. They did a nice job of all of these shows. I felt like we're trying to maintain the storylines of their individual shows while incorporating all the other people. And Supergirl, I thought, did a nice job kind of tying in the alien sentiment from the last season in the storyline of the evacuation of Earth. So that worked really well. But honestly, for my money, this hour belonged to Oliver. Just that shot of him running out of arrows at the end was one of the best, I think, in the Arrowverse ever. It was fabulous.
Yeah, and that moment before the battle when he gives Mia her new suit, I thought that was a nice tender moment. And yeah, I mean that death scene, like, oh man, I mean, it almost felt unscripted. It was.
He threw his frail human body at these superior advancing army to save a billion humans. It was very effective. I cried watching it. I cried recapping it. I cried proofreading the recap that I wrote. I mean, it really worked on me. It was well done. And not once, but twice, he said, make sure you tell Felicity I love her, which, yep. Yeah,
it was, oh man. And in that moment you realize the Monitor doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know what that surprised him, and it's like, oh my god.
And in that moment you also realize, so Tom Cavanaugh's take on Pariah is eat all the scenery. We're doomed. I am Pariah. Okay. All right, dude.
As someone who read Pariah in the comic, that is the most restrained performance that he could have possibly given. Because like, you know, he I mean, in that story, it's like a Shakespearean claymation character. The guy's got purple hair and, you know, just kind of, and he's running around going, no, you're doomed. I must just witness this. There's absolutely nothing that you could, can we stop this? No, I'm here. That means it's over. Oh no, this is terrible. Like, basically when he shows up in the comics, the only thing he does is just show up and announce this is gonna suck.
So he's just a big bummer.
Yes. Yeah. Huge bummer. And then later on, you find out his origin story, and you realize why he's so bummed out. And it's like, oh yeah. I really would not have a positive worldview after going through all of that. And one thing that I didn't mention in that meltdown, you can kind of get on to the second episode, where it's like, okay, so Oliver died. And now we need to create a game. So let's create the treasure hunt where we've got to find these paragons. And we know right off the bat that Kara and Sara are paragons, which is cool. Seems a little Earth One heavy these paragons, but that's fine.
Yeah, they weren't super well distributed, but okay.
But yeah, and in the Superman, I mean, we got to see a bunch of different versions of Superman. One I didn't mention in my meltdown earlier was Smallville, Tom Welling, which is weird. I thought at first that it was weird, and then I kind of looked online to see people's reactions, and most people were basically like, well, that figures.
So the day before Crisis aired, the first hour, Jason and I watched the Smallville finale for the first time. We had not seen it, so we just hopped straight to the finale. It did feel a little strange to go from our last image of Tom Welling, Clark Kent, embracing Superman to giving up all his powers. That was a little jarring, having just watched it. It was a lovely scene. I enjoyed him just punching the crap out of Lex Luthor, still stronger. I don't know. It didn't quite ring true to me. And yet I'm happy he's happy. I'm happy they're on the farm. I'm happy they've got kids. I'm happy for those two crazy kids. They made it work. Good for them.
Yeah. And that seemed to be a little bit more of a commentary on Tom Welling. Because, you know, evidently when they were doing the show, when he was on Smallville, he was very adamant that he never wanted to wear the cape, and you never saw him in the full costume. You just saw him, you know, pulling his shirt open with the S crest underneath. And a lot of people felt very cheated by that. And I don't know if you saw, Kevin Smith hosted a Crisis Aftermath show after the first hour and the third hour. And Mark Guggenheim was there for the whole time, and they had a bunch of other people coming in and out. But one of the things they talked about was that Tom Welling, that when he got that scene, like that was the only scene he could not say no to because they didn't have him suiting up. It was just, but we did get a nice moment with Lex. And to be honest, if they were to throw Michael Rosenbaum into that mix, I don't know what he would be doing there.
Same. I wish he had been, and I'm sure they could have found something for him, but I didn't miss him as much as I thought I would. And I think that's a credit to how they wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, yeah.
Oh, we, didn't talk about Earth 2046, or I'm sorry, year 2046, Oliver, from hour one. Are we going to see him again, or did we just need to be reminded that there are really sad Olivers out there?
Well, I think it was, we may see him again. I don't know. My guess is probably not, but to me, that was more of a closure between Oliver and Sarah's storylines, because, you know, she went off on Legends. And, you know, I mean, I have often said, you know, and I try not to say this too often because I'm, you know, people on the internet get really upset. But I always kind of thought that Oliver should have ended up with Sarah. And to me, that moment was more of a closure for those two. Where, you know, Oliver feels, you know, still feels guilt for having asked her to come onto that boat, and she gets to say, "Hey, it worked out. It's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up."
She's happy. She's so happy. I think if you're choosing between the Lance sisters, 100% Sarah. If Felicity hadn't come along, I would have been great with Oliver and Sarah. But
yeah. And also, like, Felicity and Ray, just you know, maybe that's too much, but like Felicity and Ray Palmer, I actually think that was kind of perfect. But you know, people get crazy around that stuff. People get very upset. So I'm not gonna say any more about it. Just, you know, just put it.
Ixnay.
Other big cameos. I'm just thinking. Oh, okay. So Brandon Routh, when he makes his entrance as Superman. All right, I talked enough about that. Sarah, please. Your thoughts on all of that.
I needed a minute. He looked amazing. I was so happy for that actor, for that character, for that version of Superman, for everybody in those scenes who got to act with him. He was perfect. The Brandon Routh body language acting, when he is on screen, and so is Ray Palmer, he stands differently. Like, you can see it's that old Christopher Reeve thing. You've seen the gif maybe of Christopher Reeve morphing from Clark to Superman with just his body. And Brandon Routh did that the way he stood. You could tell which one was Clark, which one was Ray. Yeah. I cannot say enough good. You know, I love Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. I think he's magnificent. But when he's on screen with Brandon Routh as Superman, Tyler Hoechlin looks like a smaller Superman. How did that happen? And yet it did.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, and you said, there's that classic shot from Superman the movie right after he's had this interview, and then he shows up as Clark Kent to take Lois Lane out on a date, and Lois is in the other room, and he just takes his glasses off and looks in the mirror, and you see immediately that he's like 3 inches taller, and it's and when they met, when the heroes met Clark Kent out in the Daily Planet and then walked into his office, you know, you could see like the slouch, and then with the glasses, and he's standing straight tall, and it's the exact same posture as Christopher Reeve, and you realize like the Brandon Routh Superman was meant to be Christopher Reeve Superman, and like and even dropped a reference to Superman 3 of all movies where I went crazy and had to fight myself, like so all of that was great.
I just cannot. I tweeted about this. I cannot express how truly heartwarming it is that Brandon Routh got another shot at playing this role after, he clearly had planned on playing Superman in multiple movies and he thought that was going to be his career, and that's not what happened. And what a disappointment for him when he was 25 or whatever, to get to do this again, even if it's on the small screen, even if it is, a TV show. It so moved me that he got the chance to do that in a really true and honest way. And he just did it so well. And I was just happy for it. All right. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. Now the big episode 3 cameo. Sarah, what you seem to be getting a text storm around 12 minutes into the program.
Wait. Did we just skip Kevin Conroy? Do we need to go back to Kevin Conroy?
Oh, okay. Kevin Conroy. Okay. So Kevin Conroy. Yeah, he was a jerk.
I know, that was not the Batman I was expecting.
but also, like, this is, Kevin Conroy's, he's a stage actor, and I mean, that voice was perfect. And you could tell it's sort of like Kingdom Come, but you also had a lot of elements from the Dark Knight Returns version of Batman in there. Mm-hmm. Especially like the conflict with Superman, and you find out this version actually killed Superman. And I thought it was great. It was exactly what the Kara and Kate dynamic needed. I thought seeing Luke Fox, that alternate version of him, it's nice to know that actor has that in his tool set. So I'm
by that, do you mean his abs? Because hello.
I just meant, that he could look like a tough guy. That he's not just a quirky nerd, that there's actually a little bit more under there. Yeah,
absolutely. I actually didn't recognize him. I mean, it took me a second to be like, oh, that's him. Yikes. Because he just was such a different, he had such a different energy in that. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. And I thought Kevin Conroy did great. I would like to see him in more things, in more things, not just Batman related,
Indeed.
So I'm just going through. I mean, we're really talking about the cameos. We can get to the main story of this later, but I think, Sarah, we need to talk about what happened.
Hour 3.
Yeah. So what happened when Lucifer showed up?
So I am not watching it. I'm waiting for my husband to get home, and all of a sudden my phone melts with multiple texts from multiple people. Did you see that? Sarah, did you see that? Oh my God. Did you see that? And so I knew something happened around the 15-minute mark, and I was excited to find out what. So yeah. Lucifer.
Yeah. I believe my response was holy shit with 3 exclamation points.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
And it was the appropriate response.
So yeah. He lied to us. Tom Ellis lied.
And he did do an interview. He said he was very sorry about that. They wanted to keep it a surprise, so he told us that he was there to celebrate a friend's birthday in Canada, even though, we all should have seen through that. But so apparently Lucifer and Constantine are able to share a screen for our enjoyment.
Yeah. And also we found out that, like, Constantine helped him with Maze somehow.
Yep.
Remember dropping that line. So yeah, I just feel like now Matt Ryan is the only person who could play that character. I think we've established that now. Like,
well, now can we get Matt Ryan? I mean, he's already played Constantine on NBC and now CW. Mm-hmm. Let's just get him over there on Fox Netflix. There's no reason he can't do that. Let's let it happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Talking about the Sandman show. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I even think that he should show up in the DC Universe shows. Like, if when we finally convince him to make Swamp Thing season 2, Matt Ryan should show up as John Constantine.
Well, no, I meant he needs to be on Lucifer. I mean, like, get him over on the last season of Lucifer on Netflix. But yeah, all of those things. Let's have him do all of those things.
Yeah, and so that was a lot of fun. And just going through here. Okay, so Oliver's dead, and Mia and Barry don't want to accept that, so they take him to a Lazarus pit. that was like, okay, I don't know. Although it was the most comic accurate version of Jonah Hex I've ever seen.
Okay.
Because
I didn't have thoughts about Jonah Hex either way.
Yes, because, well, if you read the comics, he is such a rotten person. Like, no one would ever think for a second to elect that man as sheriff. And he would never want to be. It just, like, that part of his character on Legends just doesn't really make sense. But I thought you had a cool, a neat little scene there. And I was kind of like down on this whole storyline until Jim Corrigan showed up, and then I turned into a squealing schoolgirl.
Help me understand what that meant, because I don't understand.
So Jim Corrigan, he was in an episode of Constantine on NBC. That's why Constantine said he knows him, but although he was played by a different actor, I think. And Jim Corrigan
he was played by Emmett Scanlon, who was Lobo on Krypton, for the record.
Yes.
So continue.
Yes. So Jim Corrigan is the Spectre. The basic way to understand him is he is the spirit of God's wrath. And that's exactly what he is. He goes out into the world, finds evil people, and unleashes God's wrath upon them. And he is one of the most powerful beings in the multiverse. And in the comic Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Spectre is the main person who's able to go toe to toe with the Anti-Monitor. So he's very crucial to this story. And to me, to make Oliver seem to inherit the Spectre seems perfect. And I'm so angry that I did not see that coming, because it is perfect. And I'm sure when we get back to this group in January, he's going to be the person in charge. And I did notice you heard his voice in those clips, but you did not see his face. So I'm very interested to see how they portray that character, because in the comics, he's a guy with white skin who's wearing nothing but a pair of green briefs and a green hood and cape. I doubt that's what's going to happen with Oliver, but hey, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, that is very exciting. And that really, the other big sacrifice that you had here was John Wesley Shipp. And like, first off, the whole season with Barry's been preparing to make this sacrifice because he thinks that he has to die. And like, in the back of all our heads, this show hasn't been canceled yet. Barry's not going to bite the dust. But even in that moment, when John Wesley Shipp steals his speed and says, "Hey kid," he said that it had to be a Flash. He didn't say which Flash. And yeah. And that you see that one shot from the pilot of the Flash TV series, which they had to change the aspect ratio for, of him talking of that Barry talking with Tina. That was a really tender moment. And oh man,
I thought it was kind of a cheat. Seeing the newspaper front page with Barry's face this whole time, I don't know what I expected them to do, but it felt like I felt really bad because it was a very emotional thing, and I'm so happy for the fans of the 90s Flash that they got to see all that. That was great. But it just felt a little bit like a little too easy to
I mean,
I'll
little
shut
bit.
myself out.
Okay. The one thing I will say, John Wesley Shipp is very much in the same boat as Brandon Routh, where he did a season of that show, and that show had decent ratings, but it was just too expensive to produce. Mm-hmm. And that's why it only lasted one season and did not get a chance at closure. And the fact that all these years later, after being a regular on Flash on the current Flash show for a couple of seasons, that version of the character actually gets a nice send off I've kind of felt the same way as I did with Brandon Routh with John Wesley Show. But yeah, and Black Lightning is also involved in that, and a little bit more controversial there. We mentioned this a little in his episode, but so we basically find out that he's sitting there watching his daughter freak out and be turned into some kind of cosmic material, and then this red wave forms, and all of a sudden his family's gone, and right to there with a bunch of superheroes saying, we need you to use these powers, or by the way, your Earth's dead, your family's gone, we need you to use your powers now or else everyone else is going to go.
He was really amenable to that in a way that I was like, oh, okay, what a good guy. I'd have questions.
Well, I mean, I think it's the kind of thing where, like, Barry did have that moment, and I think he was upset, but he did have that moment with Barry later, and I think it's the kind of thing where, like, your adrenaline's going so fast, you don't really have time to think. And I did like that conversation that he and Barry had later, where they got to talk about their dead dads.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, as nice as dead dads can be, you know.
So yeah, going through all this. So Kara and Kate had some good moments. Do you think Kate should have let Kara use the Book of Destiny?
I think Kate was probably right. I think, yeah. Maybe don't mess with that. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm just going through all of these. Lila, not telling Diggle Oliver was dead, and then Diggle shows up and it's like, "Where's your kid?" Yeah. So let me just run through some of these tweets, because we did get some good tweets. We might have covered some of this stuff, but just some good shout outs, and thanks everyone for sending stuff in. So at Tanya Mel, every time Lila says, "I'm Harbinger now," I'm like, you can't give yourself a nickname. It's tacky. At Deke273 says, you would think that Supergirl's mother would have been smart enough to have more than one escape pod after what happened on Krypton.
Yeah, build adult-sized ships, Krypton. God.
Yeah. Also at Deke273, love the music cue from Batman the Animated Series as the future Bat intro of Kevin Conroy as the future Batman. That was, I thought the way they used music and all over the show was great. You had all of those music cues from those classic shows going in there. You had the Flash scene, that da-da-da-da, you had the John Williams theme.
The Smallville, that was straight up Mark Snow 2006 era Smallville score, 100%, yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's funny, like, I was expecting the somebody say... I was too. I was a little disappointed not to get that, but we got the soundtrack music that I would have recognized that you know.
Okay. And we did get that song in last year's crossover.
This is true.
At Molly2910, loving Crisis so far, still trying to process the greatness of Brandon Routh as Superman again. Best lines of the night. Whoa, Ray, you're looking jacked. And you and you had me at beer.
Yeah, Kara's all of us when you get to the like big family reunion are like, oh, you're my cousin? Like first, second cousin, third cousin?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Still patiently waiting for Mick's name for Batwoman to pop up. What do you know what that's referencing?
Well, Mick gives everybody, you know, like Ray's haircut and this and that. He gives
that's
names.
right,
I
yes.
think Mick should not do that. That's just my advice to Mick.
And then also at Molly2910, please help me understand Crisis. I was expecting villains and heroes to team up. Where are the villains besides Lex?
Oh, good point.
Good points. I will say a lot of these shows have a habit of killing off villains at the end of the season, or putting them in places, imprisoning them so that they kind of go away. I think it was just, you had so many heroes here. I don't think you would have had enough room on the screen to have many more villains. And Lex Luthor John Cryer as Lex Luthor is just so diabolical.
Yes.
That I think it makes up for all the other films.
He's kind of the villain. I felt like the crossover and the coordination and all the different universes coming together was so delightful. If it got a little bit MacGuffin-y at times, there's a tower and we have to fight off these flying demons and, okay, sure. Sometimes it just felt a little arbitrary, like we're doing this now, but you know what? It didn't matter because of the care and love and fun that went into bringing everybody together like that. So that's a minor thing, but I think that's kind of a similar complaint that she had, which is, like, really? Is that okay?
All right. That's it for tweets. So where this is going forward, I am actually kind of really surprised as to how much this is staying with the comic. There are still a bunch of characters that are not going to show up. We're not going to get a version of Superboy Prime, and I don't think we're going to get Alexander Luthor from Earth 3. But that's okay. The whole thing with Lila betraying the Monitor and killing him, that is straight out of the books. That happens like halfway through the comics. And that is like the real turning point where it's like, well, if he's gone, then what the hell do we do now?
Betraying the
I'm betraying the Monitor.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. When she killed Marnovu. Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And, Harbinger does that. And Barry sacrificing himself is very similar to that. From what Mark Guggenheim said on Crisis Aftermath, it looks like the Arrow Hour is going to come next, and a lot of that is going to be the origin of the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and Pariah is going to be part of that story. And then I guess the Legends Hour is going to be the big showdown.
I am excited. And we have a long wait for that.
Yes, we do. January 14th.
Oh, wait. We didn't talk about Ryan Choi.
Oh, yes. Ryan Choi. Iris getting to have her moments in the crossover. I thought that was well done.
Yes. Sure, Iris, whatever. Ryan. I just super loved seeing Kevin Tran from Supernatural, who was a prophet, like an unwilling prophet there, become an unwilling paragon here. That was really fun. He was basically playing the same character, except in this scenario, he got to grow up and get married and have a kid, where he didn't have that opportunity as Kevin in Supernatural. Very fun casting for Supernatural fans to see him in kind of a similar vibe role. And I don't know how much he's going to be on Legends after this. Presumably we'll see something of him. But yeah, I'm excited about that casting and that potential for that character. I think that's the last thing I forgot to bring up. I think there was just so much. There's
going to be something, and we have 4 weeks of, we have the Watchmen finale next week and nothing for the 3 weeks after that. So I'm sure we will be talking Crisis constantly in the meantime. So yeah. I think we're okay. Wow, that is like the longest segment that we've ever had on the show for one crop of episodes.
Have we ever had a crisis before? No.
So yeah, I think it's so let's do news for the crossover.
Okay, so let's see. The show is now setting up the new Oliver and Barry to be Kara and Kate. And by that I mean the two leads on their separate shows who are sort of the touchstones and the friends and the people who work together. And I'm very into that dynamic based on what we saw in this and in the previous crossover, quite frankly. If anybody was curious about where Lucifer fell in the timeline, Joe Henderson, showrunner for Lucifer, said that appearance in the Crisis is a prequel to their show Lucifer Season 1. In fact, there's a cut line, it didn't make it in the episode, where Lucifer says, "I'm waiting for Delilah, who was killed in Season 1. So, because I had a moment of, but Lucifer's in hell, what's happening here? So that has not happened yet in this scenario. So clearly we're going to restore something. If we have the rest of Lucifer, we've got to have an Earth for Lucifer to be on. Mm-hmm. Also, there was a little Easter egg Watchmen billboard in that opening shot of LA in that.
Yeah, that was cool. Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, and let's go on to news for other shows.
Very little else, so let's go quickly. Supergirl. There's a recasting. Mr. Mixias Pidlick. How did I do?
Good. Mixias Pidlick. Yeah.
Yeah, you make it sound really easy. Has appeared in Supergirl before. He's been recast. He will recur for the back half of season 5 with Tom Lennon playing that part. You may know Tom Lennon from Reno 911, maybe? I don't. What do people know Tom Lennon from?
Oh, I mean, he's one of those character actors who's been in everything twice.
He's funny. I'm excited. Good for that guy.
Yeah. I think that's perfect casting. I think that's great.
He went to high school with one of my favorite coworkers, so that's fun too.
Oh,
apparently he's always been funny.
Yeah, Bill lent me his book on screenwriting, and I haven't given it back to him in like a year and a half. So there you go.
Good thing he doesn't actually listen, so he won't know. Heyo. That's not true. Bill listens. Let's see. That's it for Supergirl. Moving on to, are you ready?
Ooh.
Stargirl.
Hey,
we got a trailer.
Yes, yeah. So during that crisis aftermath, they did have Jeff Johns come on for a moment, and we saw they launched the trailer, a 1-minute trailer for Stargirl, and this show looks good. This show looks expensive. I think the production value is really good. You got Luke Wilson in there, Joel McHale, Breck Bassinger. I think this show looks really wholesome. Absolutely nothing like anything we've seen on DC Universe so far. And I was telling Sarah before this doesn't feel CW to me. This feels downright WB.
Which is such a great description.
Like, this feels like in 2002, this would have been airing on Sunday nights after Seventh Heaven. Like, I don't know. It has that vibe for me. It feels like something that's geared towards teenage girls, towards high schoolers. But you do have like the Justice Society as mentioned. And yeah, one thing Bill Sweeney is a little upset about, because he's a big Starman fan, is that they've combined Starman with the Star-Spangled Kid. It's a really long and convoluted thing, and I promise you they made the right decision. We'll talk about that more when that show starts airing.
Oh, good. We for sure don't talk about Seventh Heaven enough on this podcast, for the record.
Well, hey, both of those parents were in Star Trek movies in the 80s, so...
I enjoyed seeing the internet, who do not follow DC news as closely as you and I do, Ed, be like, wait, Luke Wilson and Joel McHale? What kind of buckets of money do they have? Because you and I went through that about a year ago when we were like, wait, what? So the rest of the internet just found out. I do not understand.
All right. Cool. Is there any more news? Is that it?
That's it. What more do you want, sir? This has been epic.
You know what I want? You know what I want now? I want a winner of the week.
I have too many winners of the week.
Okay. I will just do it a whole blanket statement. The winner is all of the feels. It's all the feels, which is what I felt watching those 3 crossover episodes. And basically, like, every great superhero show of my childhood showed up on there in some shape or form. And yeah, I really had an attack of nostalgia, and yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
That is funny, because I actually just couldn't choose, and I listed 3 things, and I would have to say also because they made me feel feelings. But Brandon Routh as a human person, getting to do what he did as Superman, Oliver Queen as a fictional character, making the sacrifice he made in Hour 1, and then Watchmen as a show, making all of us feel the way that we did. The person, the character, and the show all work together to give me just an excellent week of TV. I cannot possibly choose between those 3 things, because all 3 of them made me so happy. So I'm cheating this week. I won't do it again.
All right. And big announcement, or small announcement. But an announcement for the show. Next week is going to be
way to set up and then knock down expectations.
Yeah. So next week we only have one episode to do, and I think that's the first time that's happened since last Christmas. So usually when we only have one show or no shows, we do a retro pick where we take an episode of a DC TV show from long ago, pluck it out and examine it. We did a lot of episodes of Batman the Animated Series all of last year. So for this year, in 2017, because like 2018, we didn't really have that much. in 2018, 2019, we didn't have that much. So for this next month, I found 4 live action episodes that we're going to do from 4 different shows that are all available on DC Universe. So if you have a DC Universe subscription, you can watch along. The first one, Sarah, next week is our last episode before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I was looking for a good Christmas episode, and I found one from 1996 on Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Do you remember that show? Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher.
Do I remember that show? Please. Got my teeth on that show. Yes, continue.
Yes. So write this down, everybody. We're going to be watching an episode from the 4th season, episode 11. It is titled "'Twas the Night Before Miximas." 'Twas the night before Miximas. Miximas is spelled Mxymas. And I'm not going to tell you anything except that it's a Christmas episode. And you could probably guess by the title who's involved. But we'll have some fun with that next week.
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Sarah, we're done. We did it.
Yes. Yes. I will say, DC Universe does have a free trial. So if you have not been signed up in the past, now that shows are kind of going into reruns, if you're going to have some downtime, this might be a nice time to binge your way through, your Titans, your Doom Patrol, watch some of these episodes with us. That's just a suggestion. I'm not telling you how to live your life. Just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can go and watch all of the glory that is Swamp Thing.
Yes. Yes, you can.
All
and of
right.
course, my beloved Harley Quinn animated series.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen the first 2 episodes. Yes, that show is wonderful. All right. I think that's the DC TV report for this week.
I'm exhausted. Let's wrap this up.
You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Lil Eddie O'Hare.
I'm at Sarah Netzley, SARANETZLEY.
And follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice and rate and review us. That helps more people find us. Check out our sister show, the new and improved Wicked Theory Podcast. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam.